Hi, ladies and gents. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are on the globe. Welcome to the Lunar Lounge podcast with myself, Israel Josie. In the near future, I will be joined by there's lots of guests who lined up already, who are going to be joining me on the show. Essentially, this podcast is an astrology centered podcast, but it's a podcast that aims to inform, share, update the astrological news and speak about various planetary configurations. We're here in honor of the oldest science, the mother and father of all sciences on planet Earth, which is astrology. However, I do delve into various other subjects such as tarot, numerology, color vibrations, psychology, philosophy, esoteric teachings, the list goes on, and even religion as well. So that's also a part of what I do here, or what I will be doing here on the Lunar Lounge podcast. Also, a little bit later as well, I'm going to be pulling out the tarot card of the week. So the aim of that is to sort of like, it's a card that can sort of just give us some kind of advice or what to watch out for. I will be doing that. I did mention that at last week's podcast that I will be doing that for each of the zodiac signs. Again, that could be there could be a time thing there because going through the whole 12 zodiac signs. But for now, I'll be doing a tarot card, just an overall general tarot card to kind of get a sense of the archetype that we will be working with within the next 7 days until the next podcast comes along. Now, I did say the next 7 days. Originally, I did set out this podcast that it was going to be weekly. But actually, as a matter of fact, it's going to be bi-weekly. It's going to be a bi-weekly is it bi-weekly? No, not bi-weekly. Twice a week. Bi-weekly. I don't know. But this is where you just get it. You get it raw here. There's no filters. There's no edits. I ain't got no fancy wardrobe makers or technicians running around. It's just me, myself, and I running this stuff. So I'm just steering it through. But yeah, so it's going to be twice a week. But the other podcast, so there will be one should be uploaded on a Sunday. So do watch out for that on the podcast platform, whichever podcast platform it is that you do watch or use. It's available on Apple platforms. It's available on Spotify. It's available on Google podcasts, and so many, too many names to mention in terms of the platforms where you can be viewed, and also as well on YouTube. But the one on Sunday is more than likely not going to be on YouTube. It won't be available. The main one, which will be every Wednesday, that will be available on YouTube to be able to watch back again. And the one on Wednesdays will also be live as well, as it is right now, as it should be right now. I'm just looking here in the chat and I can see, people are saying it sounds good. They can hear me okay. All right, that's cool. That's great to hear that. That's what I want to be hearing. So if there are any questions, you can, because we're live here on the YouTube currently right now. So keep your questions coming, or if there's any comments, that's all of them are welcome. But also on the podcast platform, where if you're listening to this recording, if you listen to, if it's gone and you're just catching up on the podcast recording, that's absolutely fine too. I believe that there's options there where you can leave comments, you can pose questions also as well. If you wanted me maybe to touch on something or elaborate on something, so that could be done as well. Do be mindful of the kind of questions that you are posing, as it's not a lecture. Although there are elements of obviously teaching with this podcast also as well. I'll be looking at the chart for the moment, seeing where the planets are, seeing what we can expect over the course of the next week. Planets that have just moved into signs as well. I'll be discussing that very, very shortly. What else did I want to look at also as well? I did want to look at the whole Titanic submarine thing. People who decided to go on this kind of expedition, and apparently they were warned that, hey, this thing ain't too safe, and not necessarily by astrologers, but I don't know. It is what it is. Things do happen. Astrology is not necessarily going to be the answer to all of humanity's problems, but it is definitely extremely helpful. So I just wanted to look at the astrology of that, not to necessarily make a mockery or to discard the people who died in that in that circumstance or in that event, but just to look at the astrology of the time would be interesting. So I'll be talking about planetary configurations over the course of the next week. We got a full moon coming up, I believe, on the 3rd of July. So we got 5 days left or something like that to the next full moon in Capricorn. So I will be speaking about that. What it is that we can expect, or what kind of effect it is going to have on us. I will definitely be discussing that right here on the Lunar Lounge podcast. So thank you very much for you guys who have joined in live, who are listening. Thank you very, very much. And like I said, for those who are unable to join live, like I said, the podcast is there on all platforms. Okay, where are we going? I think maybe I need to bring up the chart for now. So I'm going to be sharing my screen here. So for those of you obviously who are watching the YouTube version, you will obviously be able to see that. Let's bring up the chart for the moment, for the momento. I need you to get out of the way so I can bring up a full screen. Okay. Coolio. Yeah, here it is. Here is the chart for the moment. Currently we've got Virgo rising, another Mercury ruled sign, just as it was last week, right? But that's not going to be the same as the days begin to get shorter and shorter. We've had the summer solstice about 6 days ago, right? Just under a week ago, when the sun moved into Cancer, 0 degrees Cancer. Shout out to all you Cancerians out there. We're in the Cancerian season. We're in the month of the crab. Okay, the water sign ruled by the moon. Yeah, it's that time of the year, baby. All sensitivity comes to a high during these particular times. So yeah, it's a sensitive time, people. Also as well, and when did they the thing was also well with the Titanic? I think that's quite interesting also as well, because when we're speaking about the Titanic, we're talking about a ship, a vessel that goes across water, we are now in this water season, this crab season, and this whole story has kind of hit us, more so last week and the week before, of course, when the whole thing went missing. But it's quite interesting that we can see the archetypes still resonating, or they're sending through that message through to us, big time. So yeah, it is what it is. Now, Mercury has recently just moved into the sign of Cancer also as well. Mercury is rushing right now. He's picking up speed. he will be going retrograde again in about what 2-3 months or so. So he's racing as he always does. Yeah, so he moved into Cancer 3 days ago. Mercury is the planet of communication. Mercury rules trade, commerce. All you traders out there, shout outs to all you traders out there. Anybody dealing with commerce, buying and selling, exchange. It's Mercury, communications. Anybody in the area of communications, merchants. This is all Mercury terrain. Teaching, writing, any form of communication, travel also as well. Mercury is connected with travel, right? Whether you drive your own car, take public transport, whether you ride a scooter, a bike, whatever. This all comes under the jurisdiction of Mercury. So Mercury has entered the. He was in the previous sign, which was Gemini. Was Happy Larry. Now he's moved into the sign of Cancer, the sign ruled by the moon. So we're definitely going to be seeing some quick changes, some shape-shifting changes that may be somewhat a bit unclear to us. So for those of you who do trading in the trading world, I would strongly advise during this particular time. Why have I got a call coming through? How dare you? My phone's ringing, bruh. Nah, it can't be done today. That's a call I definitely ain't picking up. So yeah, it is what it is. It happens, man. Should have put my phone on silent. Hey, it's the Lunar Lounge, man. What's happening? You don't call while we're doing the Lunar Lounge podcast. Okay. So as I was saying, so Mercury is, so for all you guys who are involved with the trading and the stock markets and stuff like that, we're going to see a massive fluctuation over the course of the next 20 days, 21 days, while Mercury is going through Cancer. Because Cancer, again, like I said, it's a water sign and it's ruled by the moon. So what happens with the planet Mercury moved into Cancer, he's going to become subjected to the fluctuations of the waters of Cancer. So that's going to affect like the stock markets. They're going to be up, up and down, up and down. 1 minute it's going to go up, then it's going to go down. It's going to be really kind of somewhat fluctuating, kind of unpredictable in a kind of way. It's not going to be set in one kind of, but those are the things that we can expect. So shout outs to all you traders out there and you investors out there, but watch over the course of the next 21 days. It's going to be real sticky icky. So yeah, you want to watch out for that, people, with the Mercury in Cancer. Also, we know that Mercury is the planet of communication. So what is it that we can expect communication-wise? Well, a lot of emotions. Cancer isn't a very emotional sign. So you may find, and for especially for people who are born with that. So for anybody out there who knows their chart, knows, and you could always go to, again, I'm not getting paid by this website, but www.astro.com, www.astro.com. So yeah, I'll put that in the chat for anybody who definitely needs that. But it's a beautiful website where you can get your chart done for free, and you can know where the where your natal planets are. So I've also just put that in the live chat, also on the YouTube comment section as well. So so yeah, so you can get your chart done. So for any of you guys who do have Mercury in Cancer, this is a time where you are gonna, you're gonna respond to this time more. You're gonna feel it more. People who are born with Mercury in Cancer have ability. It's kind of like a psychic ability. It's more, Mercury moves or operates more intuitively when he's in Cancer. It's more through feeling. It's got to feel right. It's not necessarily facts and figures, as if Mercury is in Gemini or in Virgo. That's not the kind of Mercury that one is dealing with Mercury in Cancer. You know, it's far more sensitive. It's touchy-feely. It wants to feel its way through things. It wants to seek information via the emotional responses, via emotional platforms. That's how Mercury in Cancer, essentially is going to be is going to be operating. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So that's how the Mercury essentially is going to be operating for the next 21 days, 21 days or so. And again, it's a great time to actually air emotions. You got something on your chest on an emotional level. This can be a really great time to perhaps really vocalize those emotions, express those emotions, and air them out. And perhaps we can even get some understanding around that also as well with Mercury in Cancer. So these are things to watch out for with Mercury in Cancer. So it's going to affect the trade. Things can be a bit wishy-washy, Cancer, So and like I said, shout out to all you Cancerians out there. And for any of you who have Mercury in Cancer, you're going to definitely pick up these particular tones quite easily. And I suppose if you're a water sign in general, if you are a Scorpio or if you are a Pisces as well, or if you got planets in those particular signs, Mercury is going to be communicating with those signs by a trine aspect. Is going to be aspecting those trines. So people who have planets in any of the water signs are going to be more receptive to certain information that perhaps the average person who do not have those placements will have. There's a particular kind of opening or particular kind of connection that the water signs have. They are a family. They are a part of that triplicity. So they are going to definitely be more, far more responsive and far more receptive to the information that Mercury in Cancer is essentially giving out. So that's also something to watch out for as well. The sun is in Cancer, so we know that we're in the Cancer season. What else is going on planetary energy wise? The moon is in Scorpio, by the way. I should have pointed that out. This is the Lunar Lounge podcast. So, hey, the moon does come first. Not that the other planets don't come first, but hey, I actually had another name actually in mind. I may even switch it. Who knows? Let's see how that goes. But hey, it is the Lunar Lounge podcast. But the moon currently is in the sign of Scorpio. So for you people who have moon in Scorpio, for people who have planets in Scorpio, are you feeling a bit more sensitive? Watch the emotions, watch the sensitivity. What is it that you're picking up? Although Scorpio does have the reputation of being somewhat intense, it can be an intense sign. It's ruled by the planet Mars, so it can be somewhat intense. And Mars at the moment is in the sign of Leo, which is actually in a square to Scorpio. So there can be some tensions there. But because Mars is the planet that does rule Scorpio, there can be some tensions, but there's also a way out. There will be solutions to the problems, no matter how difficult or how intense they may come across. So do watch out for that. But the moon is currently in Scorpio. We'll be there for the next 2.5 days. She doesn't spend long in each sign. 2.5 days, she's in and she's out. And that's why in about 5 days time from now, 5.5 maybe, we're going to be having a full moon in Capricorn, which I will be speaking about and what it is that we can be looking forward to with that with the full moon in Capricorn. And actually I will be the next podcast actually should be uploaded round about that full moon time. So yeah, I mean, watch this space. It is what it is. But there will be no YouTube video for that particular podcast. It will be on the but on all the podcast platforms, whether it's Apple, Spotify, and so on. So you can go and you can listen to it there. So so that's so that's good. But at the moment, the moon is in It's in Scorpio. So watch over the next 2.5 days, people. For those of you, especially who are listening live, do watch the emotions, because things can get, a little bit intense. When the moon is in Scorpio, they can be this rage, So today's the 28th. She'll be also there the 29th. And on the 30th also as well. I believe on the 30th, then she will be moving into the sign of Sagittarius, and then she'll be there for again about 2.5 days or so. And by the second, third, she will be moving into the sign of Capricorn, where we're going to be having the full moon. So I'll be speaking about that in a moment. So keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your eyes on the moon. So what other planetary configuration do I want to be talking about? I do want to talk about, well, before I talk about Venus or Mars, the sun. The sun is in Cancer right now. The sun is actually getting or being aided by the planet Saturn right now. We do know Saturn's in Pisces. Saturn is moving retrograde. Saturn is the planet of structure. He's the planet of authority, and he is casting his rays to the sun right now, which is what is known as a trine in astrology. So for you guys who are very well versed in astrology, for those of you guys who are new, we have what's known as the aspects, or we could refer to them as an alignment. So there's an alignment with the sun and Saturn is casting his rays. So what that tends to do is there tends to be this can be a really good time to get some structure into your life. If you are somebody who's perhaps just generally a little bit chaotic, so over the course of the next week or so, this aspect actually has been forming over the last week, but it's going to continue over the next, I would say, probably 5-6 days, maybe over the next week. But it actually is a good time to perhaps, if you want to structure something in your life, Sun, Saturn, to get some kind of discipline, set some kind of foundations. It's a great time to organize. Let's put it that way. So depending what your life's like, I mean, some people are born, they have that, for you Virgos out there, or for people with strong Saturns in their chart, you guys are quite organized anyway, right? So it's second nature to you. So okay, you can work with that particular kind of archetype, so it's not a problem, at all. But some people, we can be maybe a bit more scattered, a bit more disorganized. But during this particular period, and this has been happening since last week, since the sun moved into Cancer 6.5 days ago or so, and will be for the next, I'll say definitely give or take, for the next week, right? So I'm talking until about the 5th, 6th of July. So around that particular period, the sun, Saturn will still be applying. So again, a great time to be organized, a great time to get yourself disciplined and structure yourself, and to build whatever it is, whatever aspects of your life it is where it needs some kind of straightening up and some organizing. That is the great aspect that you can definitely capitalize on. So yeah, Sun Saturn is it's a good one. It's a favorable one too. So good. And now I want to talk about the Venus. Venus is the planet that is connected to our love life. It's all about the love life, isn't it? It's all about the relationships. But right now there's an alignment for you astrologers that are more well versed. There's a square between Venus and the planet Uranus, or Uranus, depending on your pronunciation. No, don't get funny. But Venus Uranus, what is that about? We know Venus is to do with love. She's connected with our social circles, how we engage with people, our relationships on a whole. Venus is connected to that, connected with our idea of beauty and values, and she's also connected to money. Venus loves a bit of money. And so Venus is in Leo right now, although she's slowing down. because she's going to be going retrograde. I will be speaking about that. I will be mentioning it, but I will be speaking about that as the weeks come along. What it is that we can expect with the Venus retrograde, upcoming retrograde. So that is something that I will be speaking about. But Venus is currently in a square aspect to the planet Uranus. Now, that is a bit of a tension. Now, Uranus is the planet of unpredictable surprises. It can be very chaotic, very sudden, very spontaneous, out of the blue. So what we can expect with that is some shocks. Basically, relationship life is being shocked, shock therapy. Venus is having a shock therapy right now. Relationships are having a shock therapy right now. This is what is actually happening with Venus square Uranus. So we may see spontaneous, unpredictable, unconventional behavior in our relationships over the course of the couple of weeks and maybe even month even. Well, Venus is slowing down, so she's not moving too fast. So it's probably fair to say we're going to be experiencing this for about a month and a half or so. We're going to be experiencing that. So what I often find, I've already spoken to quite a few people, and just nothing to do with astrology, but people are, oh, my relationship just ended abruptly. I'm like, there we go. That's Uranus, Venus. So we're going to be hearing a lot of that. Relationships ending, breakups, and things of that nature. Now, it doesn't mean because these two planets are in aspects in the heavens that it means like you must break up your relationship. No. What it is that Uranus is a planet that is associated with freedom. He's associated with change. He's a breath of fresh air. That's Uranus. You understand? So Uranus does have energies that are a bit unstable or could come across somewhat fickle. So what it's indicating, or what the advice around that is that we do something different in our relationships, people. This is a time to do that. Don't stick to the same old routine. You know who you are, right? There is a tendency to get into a relationship and just like, yeah, I know what he likes, I know what she likes, and and every week we do this and we go to the cinema and just do that. We get into a pattern. All right. So Uranus is trying to say, hey, break up that pattern. Okay, do something different. Uranus is very experimental. So change the format of your relationship. Add a little something, go somewhere different, do something different. Take her somewhere different, surprise her, surprise him. It can work both ways also as well. That is what Uranus square Venus is essentially about. Change up the formation, your relationship formation. Spice it up. We always hear about that. Like, oh, the relationship's dead, it needs spicing up. Well, here, the planetary archetypes is allowing us to understand that it needs spicing up. So spice it up, people. Get in there. Keep doing the same old thing. That is Uranus, Venus. And Mars is there also as well. So Mars is next to Venus in the sign of Leo currently right now. So that alone, again, strong passions, adventure, excitement. And then the square to Uranus is all pumping that up. So if you are in a relationship, for those of you who are in a relationship, find ways, creative ways, adventurous ways, exciting ways to spice up your relationship. Do something different. Put some fresh air into your relationships right now. If not, there could or there can be a danger of the splitting. Like I'm saying, I'm meeting people like, my relationship ended abruptly. I'm like, yeah, right. That's the kind of thing that I expect to hear. Just need to change it all up. And with Mars there as well, it's, Mars is fiery. He puts the heat. Your sex life, very important. We're not afraid to talk about sex on this channel here. This is the Lunar Lounge. The sex life, again, spice it up, perhaps do something different. All of these things are helpful for the relationship growth. You understand? And that's what relationships are essentially about. They are about the growth, aren't they? Yeah, we're meant to be growing. Gonna take a sip of water. Well, this is the Lunar Lounge. It is what it is. Am I supposed to be covering up this bottle? Somebody told me here. One of my fancy technicians. Am I allowed, or because people might say, well, are you advertising? I'm not advertising nothing. I'm just having a drink of water. My throat's getting dry. And it's the Lunar Lounge. Anyway, Lunar's all about the water. So yeah, it is what it is. So I did want to talk about those particular planetary configurations. Was there anything else here that I wanted to talk about? There is a configuration between Jupiter and Saturn also at the moment, although Saturn is moving retrograde. Jupiter's in the sign of Taurus. So I spoke about that last week. Inflation. People, get your money right. Jupiter in Taurus is really about the material world. It's really about the earthly world also as well. So this is why you are probably hearing, depending where you are, that things are rising, inflation, people, wanting pay rise and all this kind of stuff, and cost of living also going up. Jupiter in Taurus can be very beneficial, can provide opportunities. Jupiter is the planet of opportunities, can provide ways and opportunities for us to perhaps grow and build and gain more abundance in our life. But with that, do also take on board that the price of things will also rise as well. Inflation. You make more money, then everything goes up also as well. It is what it is. Or things go up, so you have to make more money. So again, but there is a configuration with Jupiter in Taurus and Saturn right now in Pisces, which is known as a sextile. For you guys who are more versed in astrology, there's a sextile with Jupiter and Saturn currently right now, and that's quite harmonious. There is a healthy balance between the two. The planet of structure, the planet of authority, the planet of discipline, and the expansiveness of Jupiter can kind of work in a very healthy way. So moderation, perhaps, is the word I would like to use for those two configurations there. Moderation. So there's a good amount of moderation out there. We don't have to overdo something, but also as well, we're not being too constricted also as well. So there can be a healthy balance between growth and stabilizing also as well. So that's an aspect as well that I also wanted to touch upon. Was there anything else? No, that was it actually. That was those are the things that I wanted to touch upon. Actually, no, there's another one. Just before I come off the astrological updates or the astrological news. There's also a configuration which will be more in about the next 2-3 days. There's also a sextile. So round about the 30th on the 1st of the 30th of June, 1st of July, 2023, of course. In a few days from now, because I'm doing the podcast live for those of you who are listening to the live, but for those of you listening to the recording, you may be listening to the recording when that date has passed, but just to kind of keep you updated, is that there is a sextile between the Sun and Jupiter. That's good. That can be quite lucky, especially for any of you guys who may have a Sun-Jupiter configuration, any configuration in your birth chart. If you do have that, this can be a very lucky moment for you. It can be a great time for opportunities, great time for growth. But for those people who don't have it also as well, it may not be as potent for you. but there is still a sense of hope. Jupiter gives a sense of hope, so we can expect some hope, light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. But opportunity to grow, to develop, to manifest something in our lives. Jupiter is a very good planet that can help us realize perhaps our dreams in some kind of way, and gives us a sense of hope. So the Sun Jupiter actually is it's a good look. Also as well, the planet Mercury, also in about the next 3-4 days. So around about like the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th of July, there's also going to be the configuration with Mercury and Jupiter also as well. So that's going to be great for you writers, singers, poets, journalists, teachers, great time to perhaps maybe write a piece. So yeah, good stuff. So shout outs to any of you teachers, you writers out there. So yeah, it's a good look. It's a good look. And I believe that's the only thing that I wanted to touch on. And as I just noticed, the ascendant currently, as we speak, has moved into the sign of Libra. So it's Venus time. Love it, love it, love it. Cool stuff. But that's just the ascendant. It will change in the next couple of hours, but I'll be done by then. Right. What else is it that I wanted to also speak about? I did want to speak about the situation about the Titanic, the Titanic situation. The sub that went down that wanted to see the Titanic. Do you know the pressure? Somebody was explaining to me about what kind of pressure, in terms of if you go something like, if you go like a certain amount of feet below sea level, I think it's like something like a 100 to 150 meters, into the sea. The deeper you go, for each 150 or maybe 200 meters that you dive, you literally are changing atmospheres. So you hear about atmospheres, right? Stratosphere and all this kind of different spheres that you go through. You literally are changing atmospheres every time you go. These people went something like, I believe, like 4,000 feet. Like, what the heck? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I know there's a lot of we could say judgments, or people sort of like saying, oh yeah, they got too much money on their hands. And well, listen, if you had that money, what would you be doing? You don't know what you would be doing. You can only speculate what you would be doing. You could speculate now because you don't have the money. Well, some of you may have the money. Some of you may have the money. If any of you do have the money, give me a shout. But no, on a real though, we don't know. People. I mean, if I suppose if everybody had their dream amount of money, there would be things that we would like to do. We would like to explore or go, and some of these things could be fatalistic to us. There could be things that are, they're not written in the stars for them to be successful for us or appropriate for us. So who knows? But it is what it is. They did go below. They wanted to see the Titanic. A lot of people are saying, why would you want to see the Titanic? Okay, I mean, I personally wouldn't want to see the Titanic per se, but then again, I mean, you can send cameras down there. I'm willing to watch it on the TV and watch the documentaries of how it looks. But me personally, I am quite into, or I am quite I don't know if the word is curious, in terms of what's beneath the sea. I personally subscribe to the idea that the sea is just a mystery. There's God knows what's beneath those waters. Over the years, thousands of years, how many ships have sunk and wrecked, and maybe treasures that are beneath there. And there must be. God knows. I think it's marine biologists who said that we've only discovered only 10% of what is in the ocean. That's fascinating to feel like there's another 90% that we have not discovered or we don't know about. Sea life and so on and so forth. Could you imagine there's life beneath the sea that are thousands of meters beneath the top of the sea, that it's wow, and something's living there, where it's so dark and so cold, it's freezing. And then the pressure, I mean, damn, the pressure, the pressure that is beneath those levels, or where those people went to, or where that Titanic is it's really, words can't even begin to explain. Apparently, that ship would have exploded in something like 100 of tenths of a millisecond or something like that. That's how that they say that if something is just out of place, just by, that craft has to be operated, built, and seen to by a Virgo, because it's got to be really, really precise. It's got to be perfection, as perfection as it can get. And if anything is out of place, anything goes wrong, if there's a little crack or little density or anything, the pressure would just, it's just like boom, explode. It's and there's nothing that's gonna, there's no, hardly any wreckage. Forget about bodies or body parts. It's just boom, you would have just disintegrated into liquid within milliseconds. It's really crazy. So, but yeah, that is the story of the Titanic. But I looked at the chart on the day. I'm just gonna stop sharing now. So you're just going to be seeing my face. I looked at the chart on the day that they decided to go on this expedition, or adventure. Apologies, taking some water again. So yeah, I looked at the date, and it didn't look good. The moon was in Gemini, at the time, and I may even have the chart. I may bring it up, in a few moments. But yeah, the moon was in Gemini, and it was square to Saturn. Saturn is the planet of restriction, and so yeah, it really didn't look too good from the get-go. And apparently, I don't know how true, I know sometimes a lot of these information sometimes are not thing, but apparently that ship, although it had been down there before quite a few times, apparently there was rumors that certain other specialists were saying they were deeming it unsafe. It wasn't safe to kind of go in. And unfortunately, these obviously people decided to go down there, and that was the end of them. But yeah, it is what it is. But on the day, like I said, the moon, when you're dealing with anything to do with voyages or to do with the waters, right? The moon is key, right? Here is where you get all the information about the moon here on the Lunar Lounge podcast. So the moon is very, very key. When you're setting out to go on some kind of excursion, the moon is very, very key. Moon placements are very, very key. And if you're going out into the sea like that. And I'm not saying that the people obviously who went on this particular expedition or whatever, I'm sure they don't know nothing about astrology or consulting an astrologer. But those are things where astrology comes in extremely very useful. Consult an astrologer and they can tell you that, hey, that don't look good. There's no way I would look at that chart and somebody was telling me that they're going on thing. I'd be like, you want to leave that alone, like go another day, leave it for about a week or so. You don't want to be going while the moon is square Saturn. Yeah, you want to be going in a container, moon, in the water, moon, and it's square Saturn. I mean, that's pressure right there. So from the offset, it didn't look too good. It didn't look too too great. And one of my astrologer colleagues also actually looked at when the time for when they heard the last signal. And again, it didn't look so good. The planet that represents communication or signaling is Mercury, and Mercury also was square to Saturn also as well. So, but fatal disaster. I don't want to go on too much about it, but it just didn't look too good. But these are the kinds of things where astrology can be extremely helpful, people. We have a part of astrology that's known as electional astrology that allows you to be able to plan when to do things, whether you're going on a journey, you're opening up a business, you want to get married, you're opening up a shop or doing a project or something where certain times are far more favorable, will go in your favor. This is astrology at its best here. Will allow you to do that. So astrology has that that opportunity, gives us that gift to be able to get the insights into those particular kind of themes. So it is what it is. What it is also as well, can we look forward to over I'm gonna bring up the chart again for the because I want to look over the course of the next week if there's going to be any particular configurations that we should be looking out for. So let me see over the course of, and I'm going to be talking about the full moon next. So that's going to be the next planetary configuration that I want to be talking about. So I do want to look at that on the big screen. So let's look at this full moon, which we are embarking on in the next few days. It's going to be on the 3rd of July. I will give you the approximate time of day when we can be expecting this full moon. So it's going to be on approximately on the 3rd of July, round about 11:39 a.m. UK time, GMT. For those of you who are listening, wherever you're listening from. So I'm using UK time. Well, I'm in the UK, so I'm using UK time. Time seems to be centered around GMT, isn't it? Greenwich Mean Time. So 3rd of July coming up. So in about 5 days' time, we've got a full moon in the sign of Capricorn. Now, we have a full moon every month. We have a new moon every month. They're both intersected with each other. So we have a full moon 2 weeks later, then we have a new moon, then 2 weeks later, a full moon, 2 weeks later, a new moon, 2 weeks later, a full moon, and it goes on like that. So, but every month there's a new moon, every month there is a full moon. So this full moon coming up, and full moons are very important. Full moons are when we see the full moon in her splendor, in her glory, at her most powerful in the heavens. So the moon, we know, rules the emotions of the people, the feelings of the people. So it's a time when the tides are high. So we have low tides and low tides. The moon rules the tides, people. Yep. The sea levels rise and fall according to new moon and full moons. Animals respond, especially animals in the wild. Animals respond because animals are instinctual, and the moon represents our instincts. We are human beings too. We are animals too. I know we like to, think we're like, oh, we're human beings and we're oh so civilized. Yeah, right. You're an animal. Beneath that suit and tie and that lovely dress and those lovely heels and your hair done, and that instinct is alive and well. So yeah, we got the full moon. So full moon tends to bring things up. It tends to bring things to fruition. That is what the full moon does. Okay. Things come to completion. Now I'm going to be, my website is currently under construction because the web providers are changing platforms. So hopefully within the next few days or within the next week, that's all sorted. I am going to be having some subscription, and what I'm going to be doing is there's going to be sort of like, subscriptions which you pay for monthly, where you get, I'm going to be giving people more information and more detail in regards to their chart of how each full moon, what particular area of your life it is that it's going to be affecting, based on planetary placements and based on your rising sign and so on and so forth. So it's going to be more kind of specific. That's going to go into the subscription version. So for those of you who may want to subscribe to that, that option will be there. But either way, here at the Lunar Lounge podcast, I will be giving you updates, of course, and telling you about the new moons and full moons and what it is that we can expect with them. So this particular full moon in Capricorn, like I said, the full moon brings things to fruition, to completion. That is what the full moon essentially is about. It's about things coming to completion, things coming to a head. So in some sense, we could also say it's bringing something to an end also as well. It's bringing something to full light, illumination. You see, because we see the moon with her full rays when it's a full moon. So why are calls coming through when I'm doing my podcast? People, stop it. Why aren't you listening to the podcast either? Let's see my phone first. Come off my phone, people. But yeah, so back to the full moon. So the full moon is where something comes to fruition, something comes to light. So it's all about what. So watch your I say watch your life, but be aware of in your life, what is it that is coming to fruition for you? What particular area of your life is this full moon going to be activating something? It's a full moon in Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by the planet Saturn. And we know Saturn's in the sign of Pisces right now, and he is retrograde. Okay. There's also going to be an opposition. The moon is going to be forming an opposition to Mercury on the day. Obviously, she's going to be opposing the sun. But then there is a planetary aspect from Jupiter. There is a trine from Jupiter. So that's going to be quite helpful also as well. So that indicates that this full moon is going to come with quite a lot of opportunities for growth. So yeah, we'll take that for sure. Do watch the communication because there's going to be an opposition to Mercury. So what happens with this particular kind of configuration, what we get is a lot of misunderstanding. miscommunication, misinformation. And also what will tend to happen around this particular time is you're going to get caught up with between your if you want to say your logical and rational side and your emotional and imaginative side are kind of going to be at war with one another, or it may seem like they're at war with one another. So it can be difficult to navigate that. That's also a day I would also advise people, again, traders, to watch out. There, we're definitely going to see a huge change in the stock markets on that day. So for those of you who are traders, stop, me personally, looking at what I'm looking at here, I would say stay away. You don't want to be trading too much on that day. Just give it a rest, because the fluctuation is mad. It's crazy. It's going up and down. It's just like boom, 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 boom. And you don't know, you're going to feel one way, but facts and figures are telling you something else, or the facts and figures are telling you something, and then your gut instinct and your gut feelings telling you, pulling you towards. So we're going to be pulled in two different directions, essentially speaking. So 3rd of July, which is about 5 days away from now, 3rd of July, and approximately at about 9:38, 9:39 a.m. GMT, UK time, that is when the full moon is going to be exact, but technically speaking, for that whole day and the day after, and full moons take on their energy. The full moon energy lasts, essentially speaking, it lasts for a month. It lasts until the next full moon is. You see, there is a kind of swap over 2 weeks after when we get the following new moon, but essentially it's carrying that energy, is vibrating, it's carrying us until the next full moon. Okay, and the next full moon will be the month after, about 30 days after, and the next full moon is going to be in the sign of Aquarius. Of course, I'll talk about that when that time comes, but to give you heads up in terms of how these lunar cycles are working. So it's a very sensitive time. It's a good time to complete something. It's in Capricorn. Capricorn's an earth sign. It's a hands-on sign. So get something done. Do some gardening. Maybe there's something at home that needed fixing. Fix it. Do it. Deal with it. Maybe there's something that you've been putting on the back burner for a while. You want to complete it. Do it. That's it. It's really going to be good for those particular kinds of things. But do watch also aspects of your life in terms of where things are coming to some kind of completion in your life. And like I said, in the near future, I will be doing some kind of subscription that are going to be available on the website, on my website, where you can go and you can, maybe like about £5 a month or something like that, or £10 a month, where I'll be going for, according to your chart, I'll be going into specific details for you. And there's going to be different price ranges depending on what it is that you want also as well. And where I'll be going into much more detail, which will be much more specific to you. But overall, there is going to be a full moon. It's going to be in Capricorn, Earth. We know Capricorn is about structure, maturity. It's about following those rules. We may hear a lot of information around, I suppose we're always hearing information around the government, but we may hear something a bit more kind of something, shining the light more on something, on governmental issues and governmental structures also as well, around that time too. I suppose also as well, I will be talking about the full moon again at the next podcast, which should be uploaded this Sunday. So like I said, originally it was going to be like once a week, but it looks like it's going to be like twice a week. There may be some weeks where there's not one, but watch this space. It is what it is. So full moon coming up on the 3rd of July. For those of you guys who work with crystals and like to work with incense burning, meditation, and you want to do your own kind of spiritual work during that time, yeah, do go ahead. For those of you who work with crystals, it's a great time to perhaps maybe cleanse crystals, charge the crystals also as well. Sometimes that's what I do. I normally I've got a few crystals here that I may, so like here's one, for example. Normally I put that out on the windowsill where the moon can see it. Oh, moving away from the mic there, sorry. Where the moon can see it, and let it get charged up. I've got a house full of crystals. I love them. Not everybody's cup of tea, fair enough. But for those of you who do work with crystals, great time to charge them. If you've got a plant pot, you can put them in a plant pot and charge them up. Bury them. Or if you've got a garden, you can go bury them up and stuff like that. Or you can put them in a glass of with some sea salt. Cleanse them, charge them up. And they're charged. They're charged. So yeah, real good stuff. Get to clean out the energies. Clean out the house and things of that nature. So there are various things, incenses that you can burn also as well. Yeah, that's it. It's all there. So that's it for the full moon in Capricorn coming up. So let's watch out for that. And like I said, do watch out for the miscommunication and stuff like that. Watch the traveling also as well during that particular period as well. Watch how you're traveling, regardless of how you're traveling, by bus, by car, by train, by plane, just making sure that everything is in order, because both planets, again, Moon and Mercury, that are involved are strongly linked with transportation and travel. Okay, so watch out for the travel in terms of how that essentially is, how that's going to be manifesting around that time. So around the third, and again, like I said, that energy it's carrying us. It's setting out like a blueprint for the month. Okay. And then we need to move with it accordingly. So that's the full moon right there coming up on the 3rd. Now also before I finish today's Lunar Lounge podcast, I want to do the tarot card of the week. Okay, so I'm gonna be pulling out a tarot card and letting you know what the tarot card of the week is about. I did mention last week that, yeah, I will be doing it for the zodiac signs. I'll have to see how that goes because it could be a bit time consuming. But yeah, it's something definitely that I'm planning or looking to do. It's in the pipelines where I do want to be pulling out a tarot card for each of the zodiac signs for the week. And we can get some information in and around that. So I'm just want to give these a good little shuffle. So you're going to be hearing cards shuffling in the background like I'm a casino player. So yeah, it is what it is. Let's give these cards a good shuffle and let's pick out the card of the week. Okay. What do we have? What's the card of the week? Voila. We got the tower, people. We get in the tower, and you will see that the lighting's a bit off up in here. But we got the tower. It's the tower card. I need to get this lighting sorted, man. What's happening here? You can't see it from this angle, that angle, but we got the tower. That's the card that has come out. It's the tower, people. So what is the tower about? So over the course of the next 7 days, people, the tower is telling us that we need to restructure our lives. You will know which particular area of life it is that needs to be restructured. Could be work, could be health, could be relationship, could be money, could be career, could be the home, could be family. It could be a number of things. The tower is letting us know that something needs to be restructured. There are certain foundations which need to be rebuilt, and we may find things falling apart. With the tower, things tend to fall apart. Okay. It can be a bit surprising, it can be a bit explosive also as well. Very often it can actually indicate home structures. A lot of you right now are perhaps needing to redo your home, remodel your home, restructure your home. They may need some work fixed, so some of you need to watch that with the tower. But essentially, overall, it's advising us that, okay, time for restructure, tearing down the old so we can build up the new. So it's the thing about this card is it may catch us off guard. We may find things that, oh my God, why is that falling apart? Why is that? This card is letting us know that whatever aspect of your life right now that may seem to be falling apart in any way, shape, or form, it's needing to fall apart because the foundations were not set properly. And you need to tear it apart so that you can, it's getting ready to be rebuilt again. That is what the tower essentially is about. But also on many levels, like I said, it can be referring to our home, the structures of the home, physical structures, things may need fixing, stuff like that. So have a look around the house. If there's any cracks on the wall that needs to be redone, don't put it off. If you go around your house and you find something, there's a little leak, there's a crack in the wall, and you say, I'll fix that later. No, do it, get on it in the next week. Okay, that is what the tower card is about. Hey, shout out to my bro Tyrone. I see you there in the chat, man. Tyrone's going to be coming. He might be the first one on this show. And he's going to be a regular on this show as well. Look at me, Tyrone's probably thinking, oh yeah, you didn't talk to me about this. But yeah, shout out to Tyrone. Great to have you up on here. We need to catch up. Brother is deep, trust me. We're going to have you here on the show, and we're going to be talking, we're going to be vibing about the world of esoterics, of course, astrology, tarot, the runes, so on and so forth. We're going to be talking about magic and all that. So yeah, shout outs to you, Tyrone. Thanks a lot for joining on the live. Much appreciated. So that is what the card is about. Fixing, needs fixing. What needs fixing in your house? What needs fixing in your life? That is what the tower essentially is about. So please take note, people. If anything in your life seems to be falling apart, it's because it needs a restructure. That's what it's about. It's about restructuring time. So that's the tower. That's the tarot card of the week. My name's Israel Josie. You've been tuned. You've been listening to, for those of you who are listening live, you've been listening to the live Lunar Lounge podcast. And for those of you who are listening to the record, thank you very much for your support. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Get your friends, get your family, get your friends and foes, get your colleagues. So subscribe, tell them all about it at work. Tell them to download, they can download the Spotify. Most people have Spotify apps, and they have the Apple app. It can be there. They can also get the updates as well. So if they subscribe to the channel, to the podcast on whichever platform they will get the updates, obviously, when I've posted a new podcast. Also as well, on many of them there are options to make your comments. So if you want to make comment, ask a question, perhaps maybe in something I've said or spoken about, you can also do that as well. I will be back. I will be uploading another podcast this coming Sunday. So like I said, originally it was meant to be every week. In most cases, well, it will be every week. Every Wednesday there will be a new upload of the podcast, but there's also going to be one. I'll refer to it as a midweek one, and that's going to be on the Sunday. So watch out on the Sundays also as well. It may not be as long, it may be a shorter version, but again, it's just sort of like recapping and just sort of like recapping and anything new that may be happening planetary wise, cosmic wise, just discussing those things, and that will be uploaded again on a Sunday. There won't be a video for the Sunday one, so you will have to listen to that on any particular podcast platform. But the Wednesdays one, that one, there will always be a video on the YouTube that you could look at if you want to, but you can listen to the podcast also as well, and you'll be able to tune in. Thanks a lot, people. We've come to the end of the Lunar Lounge podcast. We're moving up and up, more to come. Also, as well, there's going to be games in the future. There's going to be guests. There's going to be games. There's going to be giveaway prizes. There's going to be lots of things coming up. I've got some astrology courses in the pipeline. Tarot. A lot of people are asking me for tarot classes of lately. That's quite interesting. But a lot of tarot classes, tarot courses. So they're going to be coming up also as well. There's going to be some physical ones as well as online as well. So I'll both of them, I'm working on all of that, trying to get a place, suitable where classes are going to be held. So do watch out for that, people. In the meantime, wherever you are on the globe, UK, America, Asia, Africa, Australia, North Antarctic, South Antarctic, I don't care where you are in the globe, where you are in the cosmos, welcome to the Lunar Lounge podcast. Thank you very much, people, and I look forward to seeing you guys or speaking with you guys again this coming Sunday. I'm done for today. It's the Lunar Lounge podcast. Thank you very much, and goodbye.